The outcast in the Shadow Sci-Fi's main market was alive with sounds and colors. Merchants shouted their prices, creatures from different worlds bargained and laughed. But in one corner, away from the busy path, sat a figure no one dared approach. Her name was Kyra, and to the people of this planet, she was a monster. The children whispered scary stories about her. She has sharp claws that can tear metal, they said. Her red eyes can burn your soul, said others, but no one really knew if these things were true. Most people stayed far away, afraid to even look at her. Kyra sat there every day under the same old stone wall. Her black cloak hid her body. Her hood kept her face in shadow, even when the wind blew, and a small part of her blue-scaled skin could be seen. People would gasp and walk faster. She never spoke to anyone, never bought anything. She just sat and watched the busy market with sad, glowing eyes. Deep inside, Kyra felt empty. She didn't want to scare people. She only wanted to be accepted, to feel that she belonged, but no one ever gave her a chance. They all judged her by her appearance, by rumors they heard. Then one day, a human named Liam arrived. He was a trader from a faraway world, young and curious, unlike the others. Liam didn't fear strange faces. He watched Kyra from a distance, noticing how still and quiet she was. She didn't seem dangerous to him, just lonely. "Who is that?" he asked the old fruit seller nearby. The seller shook his head quickly. "Stay away, human," he warned. "That's Kyra, the monster of this market." Liam raised an eyebrow. "Monster?" "She's just sitting there." The seller waved his hand. "You don't understand, boy. She's cursed." People disappear around her, but Liam was not convinced. Over the next few days, Liam kept watching Kyra. He noticed that no one talked to her, no one sat near her, but she also did nothing scary. She just sat, always quiet, always alone. His curiosity grew stronger each day. One afternoon, while the two suns hung low in the sky, casting long shadows, Liam decided to act. He walked slowly toward Kyra, feeling many eyes watching him. The crowd fell silent, waiting to see what would happen when Liam stood in front of her. Kyra looked up, her red eyes met his, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. Her face was not what he expected. Yes, her skin was blue and scaled, but it was smooth and soft-looking. Her eyes glowed, but they looked sad, not dangerous. She had sharp claws, yes, but they stayed hidden in her gloves. She looked more like someone who carried pain than a monster. "Hello," Liam said gently. Kyra blinked in surprise. No one had spoken to her in a long time. "Why do you sit here all alone?" he asked. Kyra hesitated, then said quietly, "They fear me. They think I'm dangerous." Her voice was soft, almost musical. Liam smiled kindly. "I don't think you're dangerous," he said. Kyra tilted her head, clearly shocked by his words. "Why would you say that?" she whispered. "Because I've been watching, and you've hurt no one," he replied calmly. Kyra lowered her gaze. "No one gives me a chance," she murmured. Liam sat down next to her on the stone. The crowd stared, some holding their breath, others shaking their heads. But Liam didn't care. "I'm Liam." He introduced himself. "Kyra," she said softly, repeating her name like it was something she had almost forgotten. A small breeze blew past them, carrying the scent of the spices and fruits from nearby stalls. Liam noticed a small smile starting to form on Kyra's lips. It was weak, unsure, but real. "I will come back tomorrow," Liam promised as he stood up. "Will you wait for me?" he asked. Kyra nodded slowly as Liam walked away. Kyra felt something she hadn't felt for years, hope, for the first time. She thought maybe not all humans would fear her. Maybe, just maybe, this human saw her true heart. That night, Kyra sat under the stars and thought about the strange human. Would he really come back? Or was he just being kind for a moment? In her heart, she wanted to believe him, And so, for the first time in a long time, Kyra felt a small light inside her, a hope that maybe tomorrow would be different, the humans promised the next morning. Kyra sat in her usual spot. The market was already full of noise. Merchants shouted, children ran, and aliens from many worlds passed by. But Kyra kept looking at the path where Liam had walked away. Would he really return? Or had he said those words just to be kind? Around her, whispers began again. Look, the monster waits for the human. A vendor muttered, poor fool. He doesn't know what danger he's in, another said, but Kyra stayed silent, her red eyes scanning every face. A small part of her heart hoped, a part that had almost died long ago. Then, as the twin suns rose higher, she saw him. Liam was walking back through the market, carrying a small basket. His steps were calm, his face smiling. People stared at him, shaking their heads, but Liam didn't care. He came straight to her corner and sat down beside her again. I brought something for you, he said softly. He opened the basket and took out a piece of fresh bread and a small fruit. Kyra's eyes widened. No one had ever offered her food. Before, she hesitated, but Liam placed the bread gently in her gloved hands. Eat, he encouraged. You must be hungry. Slowly, Kyra removed one glove. Her fingers were slender, but ended in sharp black claws. Some in the market gasped when they saw her hand, but Liam didn't flinch. He only smiled kindly. Kyra took a small bite. The bread was soft and warm. A strange feeling filled her. Not just from the food, but from this act of kindness. She looked at Liam, her voice soft. Why do you care? No one else does. Liam shrugged. You looked lonely, and I thought you could use a friend. A friend? That word felt almost foreign to Kyra. Could she really have a friend after all this time? But even as she wondered, something strange began to happen. 3 guards approached them, their uniforms bright and their weapons ready. Human, one guard barked, step away from that creature. Liam looked up calmly. She is not doing anything wrong, he said. She's a danger to the market. The guard insisted she must leave. Kyra felt her heart sink. This was what always happened. Even when she did nothing, but Liam stood up slowly, his eyes steady, his voice firm. You have no reason to move her. She scares people. The guard said, fear is not a crime. Liam replied. The guards hesitated, unsure what to do next. Kyra watched in silence. No one had ever defended her before. This human, who didn't even know her well, was standing up for her, finally. The guards lowered their weapons. Fine, one muttered. But if anything happens, it's on you, human. When they left, Liam sat down again. Kyra looked at him with wide eyes. Why would you stand up for me? She asked in a whisper. Liam smiled. Because you deserve respect. Just like anyone else. For a moment, Kyra felt tears fill her eyes. She quickly wiped them away, afraid to show weakness. You're different from the others, she said. Softly, maybe, Liam replied. Or maybe they just forgot how to see what's inside a person. Kyra felt warmth in her chest again. The market noise returned. But something had changed. For the first time, people began to glance there. Way with curiosity, not just fear. The day passed quickly. Liam stayed and talked with Kyra. They spoke about the stars, about his travels, about her quiet life in the shadows. And as they talked, Kyra smiled more than she had in years. By the time the suns began to set, Liam stood up again. I will be back tomorrow, he promised. Kyra nodded, her heart full of something she didn't fully understand yet. Hope, trust, maybe even happiness. She watched Liam walk away, but this time she didn't feel sad. She knew now that he would return. And that knowledge changed everything. The monster everyone feared was slowly becoming something else. And all because of one human who had decided to see her true heart. Secrets under the cloak. The next morning, the market felt different. People still whispered when they saw Kyra sitting in her usual corner, but some were now curious rather than afraid. They noticed that she didn't attack the human. She didn't cause trouble. Liam arrived just after sunrise. He carried 2 cups of hot tea this time. He sat next to Kyra as if it were the most normal thing to do. Their quiet friendship was starting to become a story of its own in the market. But still, many watched from a distance, unsure what to think. "Thank you for standing up for me yesterday," Kyra said softly as she took the tea. Liam smiled. "You're welcome." Then he leaned forward and asked gently, "Can I ask you something, Kyra?" Kyra hesitated, her red eyes meeting his. "Yes," she whispered. "Ask, why do they fear you so much?" Liam asked. Kyra looked down at her gloved hands. She had always hidden the truth, afraid no one would understand, but something about Liam made her want to speak. Slowly, she pulled back her hood, revealing her full face to him. Her skin was smooth and pale blue, her scales shining softly in the morning light. Her red eyes glowed faintly, filled with sadness. Her long, black hair framed her face perfectly, but as beautiful as she was. Liam could see deep scars across her neck and forehead, scars that told a story of pain. "They fear me because I am the last of my kind on this planet." She began quietly. "Long ago, my people lived here, but a war changed everything." Her voice trembled as she spoke. "My people fought to protect this world. But after the war, we were hated, blamed for the destruction. They hunted us down, one by one." Liam listened carefully. Now he understood why she sat alone, why she covered herself so completely. "They think I am a monster," Kyra continued, "because they can't forget the past, but I have done nothing to them," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "I just survived." For a long moment, Liam said nothing. Then he reached out and gently touched her hand. His fingers brushed her claws without fear. "You are not a monster," he said softly. "You are brave." Kyra's eyes widened. No one had ever called her brave before. She felt a tear slip down her cheek, but she didn't wipe it away. Instead, she let it fall. For the first time, she felt safe enough to cry. But while Liam and Kyra sat together, trouble was brewing elsewhere. A tall figure stood hidden in the crowd, watching them closely. His face was hidden by a dark hood, but his cold eyes burned with hatred. This was Drevin, a leader of the local guard. He had long hated Kyra's people and wanted nothing more than to drive her away. He clenched his fists as he watched Liam laugh gently with Kyra. In his mind, Kyra's presence was an insult, a reminder of the war, of the past he wanted to erase. "She doesn't belong here," he muttered to himself. And in that moment, he made a plan. As Kyra and Liam talked, Drevin slipped away quietly. By evening, a new poster appeared on the market wall. It showed a rough sketch of Kyra's face. Warning, it read, "Monster sighted, dangerous, must leave this town at once." Kyra noticed it as she walked home that evening. Her heart sank when she saw the poster. Even after finding one kind human, the world was still against her. She stood there, frozen, her claws trembling. Liam, who had followed her to make sure she got home safely, saw it too. His expression turned serious. "I won't let them scare you," Liam promised, but Kyra felt fear creeping back into her heart. She had just begun to hope again. Was it all about to be taken away? Her story was far from over, and danger was closer than she realized. The threat in the night that night, Kyra couldn't sleep. She sat near her small window, looking at the stars. The poster in the market haunted her mind, even after Liam's kindness. The town still hated her. Her claws tapped nervously on the wooden table beside her. Suddenly, she heard footsteps outside. Her ears, sharp and sensitive, caught every sound. She moved quietly to the door and peeked through a small crack. In the shadows, she saw Drevin and 2 guards standing close to her home. They spoke in low voices, but Kyra could hear every word. She must be removed before that human corrupts more minds. Drevin said coldly, "She's a monster. And monsters don't deserve peace." The guards nodded, their faces hard. Kyra felt her heart race. They were planning something, and it would happen soon. Early the next morning, Liam returned to the market. Kyra met him there, her eyes serious and filled with worry. "They are coming for me," she whispered. Liam's face turned pale. "Who?" he asked quickly. "Drevin and his guards," Kyra replied. "They were at my house last night." Liam clenched his fists. "We can't let them take you," he said firmly. But Kyra shook her head. "I don't want you to get in trouble," she said softly. Liam smiled sadly. "You are my friend, Kyra. I can't just stand and watch." He took her hand and led her through the market. People watched them, whispering as they passed. Some seemed confused, some angry, but a few faces looked thoughtful, even curious. Liam had an idea. He would show the people who Kyra really was. At the center of the market stood an old storyteller's platform. Liam climbed up, pulling Kyra gently beside him. The crowd gathered quickly. Curious about what he was doing, Drevin appeared too, standing at the edge of the crowd with a cold smile. Liam raised his hand to speak. "People of Yatra 5, Liam began loudly. You call Kyra a monster, but has she harmed any of you?" The crowd murmured but said nothing clear. "Do you fear her because of what she looks like? Or because of stories from the past?" Liam asked. Again, the crowd stayed silent. Liam stepped aside and gestured to Kyra. "She is not your enemy," he said. "She has lived here in silence, without hurting anyone, without even speaking." "Back to your hate." Kyra lowered her hood slowly, showing her full face to everyone. Gasps filled the air. But this time, they sounded different. Her scars told a story of pain, but her eyes showed sadness. Not anger. She looked gentle, fragile even. Liam continued. "I see her true heart, and it is kind. You judged her without knowing her, at that moment." A small child stepped forward. The boy looked at Kyra bravely. His mother tried to pull him back, but he slipped from her grasp. "Are you sad?" the child asked simply. Kyra knelt down, her red eyes soft. "Yes, very sad," she answered gently. The child reached out and touched her clawed hand without fear. The crowd watched in silence. For the first time, they saw not a monster, but a lonely creature longing for peace. Some people lowered their heads in shame. Even the old fruit seller who had warned Liam looked away uncomfortably. But Drevin was furious. "This is foolishness," he shouted. Stepping forward, "She is dangerous, and she must leave." Liam stood tall, facing Drevin. "No. She will stay, and so will I," Liam said firmly. "If you want her gone, you'll have to take me too." The crowd began to murmur again. This time, some voices spoke. Up softly, "Why should she leave? She never hurt anyone. What if we've been wrong all this time?" Drevin's face twisted in anger, but he could see the crowd was no longer fully on his side. His plan to drive Kyra away was failing. He turned sharply and walked away. Without another word, Kyra watched him go. Feeling something she hadn't felt in years, acceptance, Liam smiled at her. "You are not alone anymore," he said warmly. Kyra nodded, a small tear sliding down her cheek for the first time. She felt the walls around her heart start to break. The human had kept his promise, and now others were beginning to see her true heart too. The silent attack of him, though Drevin had walked away from the market that day, his anger did not fade that night. Hidden in the shadows of the dark alleys, he made a plan. "If the people will not force her out," he whispered to himself, "then I will do it myself." His hatred burned deep, and he gathered a small group of loyal guards. They wore black clothes and carried silent weapons. Their mission was clear: scare Kyra so badly that she would leave forever. But Drevin didn't know that Liam was ready for trouble. Liam had spoken with some kind traders who had watched everything. Drevin may try something again, one trader warned him. Liam nodded, determined to protect Kyra no matter what. That night, Kyra sat quietly in her small home. The stars outside her window looked peaceful, but inside, she felt nervous. The kindness she had felt at the market that day was new, but deep inside, she feared it would not last. Her people had been hurt by trust before. Suddenly, her sharp ears heard something, a soft sound outside, like footsteps on gravel. She froze, listening carefully. Then she smelled something strange, the scent of burning oil. Her eyes widened in fear. Outside, Drevin and his men had surrounded her house. They poured oil around the walls, preparing to set it on fire. She will run, and when she does, we will catch her. Drevin whispered coldly, but before he could light the flame, Liam appeared. He stepped out from the shadows, holding a long stick. "Stop!" Liam shouted, his voice loud and clear in the quiet night. Drevin spun around, shocked to see the human standing there. "This is not your fight, human," Drevin hissed. But Liam didn't back away. "Yes, it is," he said firmly. "Kyra is my friend, and I won't let you harm her." Kyra heard the noise and rushed outside. Her red eyes glowed softly in the moonlight. She saw Drevin and the guards, saw the oil on the ground. Fear mixed with anger inside her. For too long, she had run and hidden, but not tonight. She stepped forward. Standing beside Liam, her voice was steady but strong. "I will not run," she said calmly. "I have done nothing wrong, and I will not hide anymore." The guards hesitated, looking at each other. This was not what they expected. Kyra looked at Drevin directly. "I am not a monster," she said. "Your hatred does not make me less than you." Suddenly, a voice from the shadows spoke up. It was the old fruit seller from the market. "She's right," he said, stepping forward. "She has harmed no one, and your actions shame us all." Drevin, more townspeople appeared. They had followed Liam, worried about what might happen. Now they stood together, forming a circle around Kyra and Liam. One by one, they spoke. "Let her be. She deserves peace. She has done nothing wrong." Drevin's face darkened with rage, but he was outnumbered. His guards lowered their weapons, unsure what to do. Finally, Drevin spat on the ground and turned away. "This isn't over," he growled as he disappeared into the shadows. The crowd slowly relaxed. Kyra felt a strange warmth inside her for the first time. People had stood up for her. Liam smiled and gently touched her shoulder. "You have friends now, Kyra," he said softly. "You are not alone anymore." That night, Kyra didn't sleep in fear. She sat under the stars. With Liam sitting beside her, the market was quiet. But something important had changed. She was no longer just the outcast in the shadows. She was seen, accepted, and maybe, just maybe, loved. A choice of courage the next day. The market felt different. Where there had once been fear, there was now curiosity. People no longer ran from Kyra's shadow. Some even nodded politely as she walked past. It was a change that felt strange but wonderful to Kyra. Liam walked beside her as they moved through the busy street. Their friendship was no longer hidden. Children watched them and whispered, "Ot." But without fear this time. Some even smiled shyly. For the first time, Kyra felt almost like she belonged. But far away, Drevin was not finished. He sat in a dark room, speaking to a strange visitor. The visitor was tall and wore a dark cloak. His face was hidden, but his voice was cold and sharp. "You have failed," the visitor said, "but I will fix this problem for you." Drevin leaned forward, desperate. "Then take her away," he begged. She must disappear from this town. Forever, the visitor nodded slowly. Tonight, I will come for her, he promised. Back in the market, Liam and Kyra sat at a small table. They drank tea while watching the people pass by. But Kyra felt something heavy in her heart. I know this peace will not last, she whispered. Liam nodded sadly. Drevin will not stop, he agreed, but we won't give up either. That night, a storm rolled over HFY. Dark clouds covered the sky and lightning flashed far away. Kyra sat by her window again, thinking. She knew Drevin's hatred still burned. She could feel it in the air. Suddenly, a knock came at her door. It was soft but sharp. She froze, her claws tightening around her cloak. Then a voice called softly, "Kyra, it's me." It was Liam. She opened the door quickly, letting him in. He looked worried, rain dripping from his hair. "I heard something," he said quickly. "Drevin has brought someone dangerous, an outsider." Kyra's red eyes narrowed. "What do they want now?" She asked quietly. "They plan to take you tonight," Liam replied. "We have to go." But Kyra shook her head. "No more running," she said firmly. "I'm tired of hiding." Liam looked at her carefully. He could see the strength in her eyes. She was no longer afraid. "We will face them together," Liam said. They left her small home and walked out into the storm. The streets were wet and empty. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Then they saw him, the dark visitor, standing near the market center. His cloak billowed in the wind, and his cold eyes locked onto Kyra. "You must come with me," he said, in a voice that sent chills down Liam's spine. Kyra stepped forward, her chin held high. "Why should I?" she asked bravely. The visitor's eyes glowed faintly under his hood. "Because your existence threatens peace," he replied. "The town will never accept you." But before Kyra could answer, something unexpected happened. The townspeople appeared, one by one, even in the rain. They gathered silently. Surrounding Kyra and Liam, the old fruit seller stepped forward. "She stays," he said simply. Others nodded. "Hush. She is one of us now. She belongs here." The visitor's cold gaze swept over the crowd. His plan was failing. Even Drevin stood in the shadows. Watching as the people defended Kyra, he clenched his fists but said nothing. The visitor spoke again. His voice softer but still dangerous. "You may stay, for now," he warned. "But this world is not safe for your kind." With that, he disappeared into the storm. His dark cloak vanished into the night. The townspeople slowly began to cheer. Liam turned to Kyra, smiling warmly. "You did it," he said. Kyra felt tears in her eyes again. But this time, they were not from sadness. They were from hope. For the first time in her life, she had stood her ground and won, not alone, but with a friend and a town that was finally willing to see her true heart. She looked at Liam. "You made this possible," she whispered. Liam shook his head gently. "No, Kyra," he replied. "You did, by being yourself." A new beginning. The storm passed, leaving HFY fresh and quiet. The streets smelled of rain, and drops sparkled on the stone paths. Kyra stood at the edge of the market at dawn. She looked around slowly. This place, where she was once feared as a monster, felt different now. People smiled gently as they walked past. A child waved to her, and Kyra waved back carefully. For so long she had believed she would always be alone. But everything had changed because of one human who chose to see her true heart. Liam appeared beside her, carrying 2 cups of warm tea. He handed one to her without a word. They stood together. Watching the market come alive, merchants set up their stalls and called out greetings. Even the old fruit seller, who once feared her, now offered her a basket of sweet berries. Kyra felt something deep inside her heart. It was more than peace. It was acceptance. This market, this place, these people, they had finally accepted her. But Kyra knew this was only the beginning, not the end. That afternoon, Liam spoke softly as they sat under the shade of a large tree. "Kyra," he said, "would you like to travel with me?" Her red eyes widened in surprise. "Travel?" she asked, unsure what he meant. "Yes," Liam replied. "I trade goods between many worlds. You could come with me, meet new people, see the stars." Kyra looked up at the sky. For so long she had stayed hidden in this one small corner of Q. The galaxy. The thought of leaving was both exciting and frightening. But she smiled gently. "I would like that," she said quietly. The next day, the townspeople gathered to say goodbye. Some brought small gifts: fruit, bread, flowers. Even the old fruit seller handed Kyra a soft scarf for the cold winds of space. He said kindly. Kyra accepted every gift with a grateful heart. Before they left, she turned and looked at the old stone wall where she used to sit. She remembered the whispers, the fear, the loneliness, but now, that corner felt like just another part of the past. A chapter closed. She had a new path ahead, one filled with hope and adventure. As Kyra and Liam boarded his small starship, the townspeople waved. The engines hummed gently as the ship rose into the sky. Kira looked out the window, watching the market grow smaller and smaller. A tear slid down her cheek. Not a tear of sadness, but of gratitude. She had found acceptance, friendship, and freedom. And all because one human had dared to see past her scales and claws. Past the stories, past the fear. He had seen her true heart. Liam sat beside her as the stars filled the sky, ready for your next adventure. He asked with a smile. Kira nodded, her red eyes shining brightly. "I'm ready," she said softly, and together they flew toward a future filled with endless stars and endless hope.